The following episode of the Lions of Liberty podcast contains extensive use of explicit adult language, so hide the kids and listen accordingly.
Welcome to the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here is your host, your guide, your shining beacon of liberty, Mark Claire.
All right, folks, and we are just going to get right into it. We're going to skip the formalities, skip the introductions. That's what the man with a nice radio voice is there for. We're going to get right into it because we just spent, well, some of us more than others, spent massive amounts of time watching, live blogging, analyzing the latest GOP debate. And we're going to do this episode in the style of our oh-so-popular feature, which is, of course, Libertarians in living rooms drinking liquor, and it pretty much spells itself out if you're new to the program. I don't think I need to describe it in much further detail, as where we sit around over some adult beverages and discuss the news of the day in our little libertarian filter. And the news of the day, of course, is this debate. We'll get into it a little bit more in a minute, but first I'm going to introduce my Lions of Liberty associates, starting with the man to my left, Rand analyst. What else are you known for in the world?
Call me a Randallist.
A Randallist? Resident Randallist?
Yeah, I'm a Randallist, a comedian, a satirist, a publicist. Everything that ends with "ist," I tend to gravitate towards.
Okay.
Sadist?
And, sadist, yes. That is definitely true. And what are you drinking here today?
Well, I'm drinking some Belching Beaver pumpkin spice milk stout as coordinating with the season here.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's pretty tasty.
What season? Beaver season?
Yeah, beaver season. It's always beaver season. No, never mind. I'm not going to make that.
What joke? Oh, wait, who was that? Someone else is joining us.
I know.
Out of order. It's all right. There's no real order. That was the laugh of one Mr. Howie Snowden over in, what is it, Leesburg, Virginia?
Leesburg, Virginia.
I got it right. Okay.
Yep.
Only known you for 15 years. Nice that I can finally pronounce where you live.
Drinking out of a Magic Hat Night of the Living Dead variety pack. Right now I'm on a Wilhelm Scream Pumpkin Ale.
Drinking pumpkin ales. It is the season, man.
Oh, you guys are having a little... Did you guys coordinate this pumpkin ale thing? Or not?
Yeah, it's almost Halloween.
It is. I mean, man, I can't believe I'm going to say this on a recording, but I actually... I enjoy pumpkin spice lattes this time of year.
Me too. They're delicious.
They're delicious, and I like pumpkin-related drinks. So I'm a fan of what you guys are promoting here.
Well, what's awful is that in L.A. it's been like 80, 85, and I still went and got a pumpkin spice latte.
Frappuccino. You just turn it into a frappuccino.
That's not the same.
I just said the word frappuccino on air. This is not a good start at all.
Maybe we can get Starbucks as a sponsor.
All right, before we forget it, what if we just went the whole show? We just talked about frappuccinos and pumpkin spice and never even brought in, never even introduced our last guest, who is, of course, our resident legal counsel, who's still trying to figure out how live blogging works. One Rico. What's up, pal?
What's up, jabronis?
Hailing from Ohio, but who knows where he really is. Sometimes he's in Thailand, sometimes he's in, Florida.
I'm actually in the Cleveland of Hawaii right now, as locals call it.
Oh, that's right. Lucky dog.
What is the Cleveland of Hawaii? What are they?
Maui. It's the local term for Maui.
It's shitty for Maui, then, I guess?
Hey, bro, you're going to go sell some wares at Cleveland?
Yes, that's where I'm at.
That was my impression of a local.
How is it compared to actual Cleveland?
It's pretty much the same.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Flowers everywhere, beautiful women.
Same beaches. I couldn't even tell the difference.
Their ocean is on fire there, though, instead of a river.
Yeah, that's the only difference. Ocean versus river. Other than that, it's like being at home.
All right. So, and I should also mention what I'm drinking, which is, for some reason, I decided to go dig deep into the liquor cabinet and pull out some Christian Brothers brandy. I'm just drinking straight brandy, guys. I don't know what I'm thinking.
Oh.
And that's usually reserved for another season when it is mixed with eggnog.
Oh, yeah.
Which is probably why you have it.
I think I have it from last eggnog. It might be from our Christmas special. Actually, or from our 100th anniversary. I think it was around the same time. I don't know. All these drinking shows really do add up. You can find them all at lionsofliberty.com/podcast, where you can find all the past episodes of this program, as well as, of course, subscribing on iTunes. Can anyone else name another way that you can subscribe to the show? Anybody?
Stitcher Radio.
There you go. That's one. Anybody else?
Liberty FM.
What's that?
Liberty FM.
LibertyTalk.fm. That's close enough. You can hear us on the weekends there. Okay. We'll accept that answer. Howie, got anything?
I use the podcast app on my iPhone.
Okay. iTunes. There you go. I already named that, but
Just go to a
you
public
wanted to
library.
rename-
Sit next to a
You're like a
homeless
politician.
library.
You're like, he said iTunes. I'm just going to call it the podcast app on my iPhone.
No, it's separate. I mean, I have an iTunes app and I have a podcast app.
No, but it's through iTunes. I mean, we can debate this all day, but it would really not make for great radio.
Yeah, technically, you're technically right.
Thanks. That's all I wanted to hear.
If you come up to me and put your ear against my liver like a seashell in the ocean, you can also hear all these episodes because all the drinking has imprinted them heavily within my body.
That was weird.
What?
You heard me right. Don't make me say it again.
I'm always like, whenever he makes one of these jokes, I'm like, okay, God, I don't get it, but everybody else probably does. So I'm an idiot. Then everyone's like, what are you talking? And then I feel better because I realize, well, he's the idiot.
The people at home get it. Write in and voice your support for my bizarre liver/seashell.
What hashtag should they use for that?
Hashtag seashell liver.
It did make sense.
It made perfect sense.
Okay, well, moving along. Speaking of making sense, or perhaps not making sense, let's get into this debate, guys. What are some of the top stories coming out of this
It was terrible.
All right, review. It was terrible.
Oh my God, was it a horrible debate? Was it just me being drunk, or was it the worst debate ever? The questions were awful. The answers were not based upon the awful questions.
Let's talk about the questions.
Oh my God.
Now, shouldn't you? Did we ever ask what you were drinking? By the way,
Mine? Yeah.
No, what Rico?
Oh, Rico. Yeah. What are you drinking, Rico?
I'm drinking a combination of things. I have.
Oh, this should be good.
I was drinking Mai Tais as well as some Longboard ale from the Kona Brewing Company. So I'm drinking them all at once. And
God.
You're just going full Hawaii.
You're going to be so hungover with Mai Tai.
Every word that sounds Hawaiian, he just grabs off the shelf like, oh, Mai Tai, Kona.
Luckily, I have to work for 45 minutes tomorrow, so I should be able to bust on through it.
Let's not talk about your 45-minute work days. So what would people think about that? Would progressives think that you work too much for 45 minutes?
Would they call me?
They want people to have less work, right?
I mean, do I work more than Marco Rubio, or does he work more than me, or are we about the same?
It depends on if you call what he's doing working. Is talking about politics for 2 hours working? Because if that's the case, we're going to do it right now.
Well, I think he's talking about his voting record. Yes, Marco Rubio is sitting. Does he even write any bills? Does he propose anything? I think he just kind of sits around, tosses his hand up once in a while. Every fourth or fifth vote, right?
Marco, what would you say you do here?
Because I don't see any votes. I don't see your name on any votes. So, well, no, I tell the staffers, and the staffers take the votes to the... Yeah, we could go on with this Office Space kid. I should probably just post the link to the scene in question.
Marco, where are your TPC reports?
Hey, I should mention this is the 153rd episode of the Lions of Liberty podcast. Therefore, you can find today's show notes at lionsofliberty.com/153, including possibly the scene from The Office that we just... Not The Office. Office Space.
Office Space. Way to ruin the flow of the show.
I know. It's going so well.
Let's get back to Rubio, though, because Rubio...
So it was the Rubio show
It was the Rubio show. Every damn question, it seemed like, was like every other question was about Rubio or toward Rubio or about something Rubio said. There are a lot of bait questions. Like, Rico, you said they're horrible questions, which I agree with. But they're all like these bait questions and constantly going at Rubio, who had, I think, 55 minutes tonight of the allotted 2 hours.
Is that an official time?
I don't know.
These are not facts, people. But let's see if the official times are up yet.
Yeah, I want to know how much time Rand got, because it seemed like 2 minutes.
Oh, my God. Well, that's the other story. There's two stories coming out of this. There's the guy they're promoting, which is clearly Marco Rubio. I mean, he was just like center stage here. Even Trump and Carson, though they got a fair amount of time, were kind of like almost side stories. It's like this game they go through. Every time there's this election cycle, you see new guys rising up, then they're like, wait, we got to promote this other guy. Then that guy gets moved up the stage, some other guys move down, and I don't know. It's just like they're just messing with our heads.
It's kind of ironic that Marco Rubio is saying the mainstream media is like the super PAC for the Democrats when they're...
It's funny, isn't it?
His super PAC tonight.
Actually, Howie, weren't you, like, when I asked this question before the debate, who the mainstream media would say won the debate? Did you say Rubio?
No, that was me. My claim to fame.
I asked the same question earlier to Brian. I was like, who made that prediction?
I said something else, but then when Brian said that, I said, you know what, I bet you're right. Yeah, I agreed with Brian.
Well,
okay.
I mean, he's got that, Charles and Chargy look to him. So, I don't know. I feel like he's like Mr. Charming. Look at me. I'm the young guy. I'm acceptable. Maybe they're deciding they don't like Trump and Carson because they're not establishment. So, if there's one guy that is, it's Marco Rubio. It's clearly establishment. Him and Jeb were yucking it up about their history in Florida and all of that stuff.
I thought everyone came off well tonight compared to how awful the moderators were. It was just
They were
The longer it went on,
They
I
were
just
bad.
hated the moderators more, and I started to like the candidates more, even though I totally disagree with most of them on everything.
It seems
It's
like
just like
it seems like CNBC even knew their moderators were bad because they had 17 guest questioners
They
come in.
go to the bullpen. Go to the bullpen.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the bullpen. Like, they were getting matchups for the fucking candidate questions.
You got Jim Cramer in there. You got Rick Santelli, who I think is the best questioner ever. First of all, I mean, he was in the kitty debate. By the way, we totally glossed over the kitty debate. I'll give a 10-second summary. Santorum family, Bobby Jindal, the kitty debates version of John Kasich, and Lindsey Graham wants to fight ISIS. And who is the other guy? Somebody help me. Governor Pataki. Kind of looks like Elmer Fudd. Okay. And,
Lindsey Graham grew up in a bar, right?
Lindsey Graham grew up in a bar. Thank you. Someone reads our
He
tweets.
did?
Live blog. He said he grew up in the back of. They were talking about
Back room of a bar.
somehow beer came up. I don't even know why. Oh, because they're talking about Budweiser having basically a monopoly on the beer brewing industry, and then Lindsey Graham's like, well, if anyone could talk about this, it's me, because my dad owned a bar. I grew up in the back of a bar. I pretty much know everything there is to know about bars. Hey, who was saying earlier that?
Oh, you know what? No, there was a story today about
gotta
him.
hear
He
this.
was doing shots in this interview.
Yeah,
and
please.
but
Howie,
before they were
enlighten
doing
us
the
with this.
shots,
Enlighten us with this news about Lindsey Graham doing shots, because I need to know about this.
but before that, something that I didn't mention was before they were doing the shots, he was pouring beers for people, and apparently he has no idea how to pour a beer. And it was just like all foam. He'd be like, "Okay, who wants this one?"
well, that's not my
Nobody would
president.
take it. No one would want it.
Disqualified.
But yeah, so I guess he was.
Nobody would take it. They're like,
What's
no,
worse,
this is phone,
Obama
dude.
bowling or Lindsey Graham pouring a beer?
He was doing shots with the reporter. He poured himself like a single and her a double.
Shots of what?
And
And then had his way with her.
Isn't that basically like rape?
That sounds pretty awful.
but
Here, you take two.
I'll take two. I'll take one roofie. You have two.
then the reporter had him playing date, marry, or permanently disappear.
Dave
And
Mary, is
that is the mainstream
real
version.
That's the way they phrased it. So he said he would date Sarah Palin, marry Fiorina, because with her money she'd be able to support the lifestyle he's accustomed to. And so they're like, so you would permanently disappear Clinton? He's like, he wouldn't actually say that out loud.
What news program or what interview was this? Like, I want to be a fan of this website, first of all, wherever
I
this
read
came
just
from.
a write-up of it on Huffington
We should
Post.
probably just merge with them.
The Howie
I
Sullivan
did
Dreamcast.
send you a link to it this morning. I guess
Howie,
didn't
you
see
sent 17 links. I'm sorry, but it's hard to click on all of them.
Yeah, every morning we wake
usually
up
get
to
the
45
gist.
links.
I
From
get
Howie.
the gist of them. I click on some, but I can't click on all.
Which I'm not saying to stop, by the way. I do love the links.
No,
but,
we need you. You're our newsman. I don't
Yeah.
have time.
We should have. You know what? Howie should come in at the start of every one. And now here's Howie Snowden with the news.
Just give him like
Today in MMA news, Howie, shut the hell up. That's the way it would go every day.
What is
Free
there?
Diaz.
What is there at MMA news? Do you want to give an update on your man Nick Diaz while we're here?
Yeah,
Since
actually,
you are
so
an
he
angel
was
investor.
he was suing the Nevada State Athletic Commission, which I have no idea why the state is even involved with sports. But apparently they're coming to some settlement agreement with him since the whole world is against their decision, and he'll probably be back next year.
Well,
Most
now
likely.
that's a good segue.
Ew.
Speaking of the state being involved with sports, what's worse than the state being involved with sports? I don't know if it's worse, but it's different and annoying too. Is the involvement with sports gambling or all gambling, and the involvement or the attempted involvement with daily fantasy sports. I guess they're only targeting daily fantasy sports. They're not. They're cool if you're in a weekly league, no problem there. But if you do daily fantasy sports, yeah. So this came up as a question, and the one good thing Chris Christie has ever done in a debate was shut this whole question down and be like, "Are you serious? We have all these serious issues talking about. Really, like this is an actual political debate, and you're talking about fantasy effing football." And that was after Jeb Bush basically said, "Yeah, we got to regulate it because it's gambling."
And claimed that his team was 7-0.
After claiming his team was 7-0.
I predict his name Bush
But
League
it's okay.
every year.
Slam dunk. But it's okay if you play fantasy baseball as long as it's not for money, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the way it all
Football or
started.
whatever,
You
all
just wouldn't
sports.
admit that it was for money in the beginning because that
And
was
you
how you
know
got
it's
around
for, at
it.
least for drinks later or
Right, yeah.
something. Come on.
Well, it's like who
Nobody
cares
plays for
anyway? It's
nothing.
now because it's big business.
Who
The government
plays
has
for
to get
nothing?
involved. So, but it's like if it wasn't regulated so much anyway, people would just be doing this all over the place. It's like these two big ones have it now, but
Oh, heaven forbid people were all over the place playing fantasy football.
right, it's like who cares?
Oh,
Why
no.
is it a problem?
Well, I guess they're concerned that maybe like the mob will get involved and start, breaking players'
Well,
kneecaps.
that's exactly what happened. Yeah, the legislation in the beginning was to get
wait, really? I
it
made
was to
that up.
protect athletes, collegiate athletes originally, is how this whole ban on gambling got started. Rico, you're a big gambler. What's your opinion?
I thought you were going to say, Rico, you're a legal expert.
No, he is a huge gambler.
Okay.
I don't know about huge.
$7 million in debt.
I used to be, but I've worked my way out of it. But
45 minutes a day.
45 minutes a day at a time. I'm working my way out of it.
What's the question?
No, what your take is on... Oh, God.
I don't think there was a question. I think you said talk about gambling.
I wanted Rico's take on the whole the legality of fantasy sports and what your take as it is as our legal expert.
Hey, what time is it in Hawaii, by the way?
It is, I don't know. I think 5
p.m.?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's not...
It's 6 hours behind East Coast time.
So you were doing some serious day drinking today. It was probably 1 or 2 when you started.
I didn't get done with work until 10:30 a.m., so, I had that going.
All right. Let's move on before all our listeners just start to loathe you.
Your French work week.
Your French work day. That was a good remark from Jeb. I'll give him points for that.
That was pretty
You
good.
didn't get enough laughs from the crowd. I liked it.
I know.
Yeah.
I even tweeted it and talked about that on our live blog, which you can follow every time we do one.
Jeff actually had some pretty good quips tonight. It's like people always say like George Bush, they elected him because I could get a drink with him. I could get a drink with Jeb. I just don't want to be my president.
Yeah, I could. I could play
know,
fantasy football with him.
Yeah.
I could get a drink with him.
I actually thought he said a couple decent things before he said that the government should regulate fantasy football.
Before that, yeah.
Yeah, before that. But I thought he was doing all right. Now, let me look on my notes on my phone. Let's
Look
see.
at this guy taking
I also
notes.
was looking at notes on my phone to see what he said.
Howie, did you take notes?
No, but you know why they say fantasy sports is legal? It's
Why?
because it's a game of skill.
Right.
And it doesn't... It's
So are
not.
a lot of things. So
It doesn't have to do with the outcome of any particular team or event, so it's not like someone's going to throw a
So
game.
then why are they going after it now, then?
Okay, well, one, it never
Money.
makes me. Why can Las Vegas have sports books, but no one else can?
Yeah, because it was written in. Yeah, well, go ahead. You probably know.
That doesn't make. I don't know. I mean,
I'll tell you.
It never made any sense to me. Because there was just a challenge that got. I think Delaware was trying to have sports books.
Yeah, Jersey.
Or Jersey, and they said, no, you can't have. Well, how can Las Vegas have sports books and New Jersey can't?
Oh, it's the biggest crony capitalist thing ever. It's what happened was when they first made the law, states had already had gambling going on. Like I think Delaware or Maryland has an exemption because they had some sports lotto type of setup, and Vegas got an exemption because they already had the industry there. But it's like, why can 2 or 3 states have that? It's insane. It's complete favoritism. It makes no goddamn sense.
I would personally love it if every state could have own sports books. If Cleveland or Ohio just had a bunch of casinos built, and if they had sports books, I would go there much more frequently than I do. But I mean, it's neither here nor there. They should be allowed. You should be allowed to bet if you want to. I mean, the whole mob is going to break someone's kneecap if they don't shave some points. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Well, and also,
but they might.
And also, how much legislation can be based upon a tiny minority issue?
Hey,
that
so
now
a couple of
affects
knees get
everybody in
broken.
America?
Big deal. There's more knees.
I mean, look, 2 kids get their knees broken because they're complicit in throwing a game, right?
Anyway,
and now nobody can gamble anything. Instead of just letting the police handle it or saying, "Hey, you shouldn't do this or shouldn't throw games," it's on you, buddy.
Well,
let's make gambling on sports illegal across the country.
But how is it legal in Vegas and nowhere else?
Because they get exemptions.
It was written into the law. They had an existing exemption.
Because Sheldon Adamson is sitting there paying people off and paying off Donald Trump.
Rico, you need to have a talk with Carly Fiorina about crony capitalism. She'll explain how this all works to you.
She has not returned my text messages recently.
Oh. Once bitten, twice scorned. Is that a thing?
She unmatched me on Tinder.
How about that? I couldn't believe that on a debate they're actually talking about crony capitalism. They're talking about auditing the Fed. They're talking about monetary policy.
Yeah. Did Carly bring up crony capitalism? She was the first one to bring it up, right?
I know she was the one who gave a definition and explained in first grade terms to everyone what it is.
I think she did. By the way, what was the topic? I know Rand didn't break in and force the issue like he had to at one point to get some damn speaking time. But what was the issue he forced his way in on? Was it the Fed, or what? Did they address him on that after Cruz mentioned him?
I think it was his tax plan.
No, that's right.
Yeah, he said, if you don't mind, while we're talking about flat tax plans and fair tax plans, care if I Talk about Biden first?
And the moderator's response was the best. He's like, people have been breaking in all night. She's like, oh, well, that was at moderator's discretion. And it's like, well, if you're at the discretion, I'm never going to speak, am I?
Use your discretion. He's saying, so use your discretion to let me have 30 freaking seconds to mention my damn tax plan, which is better than anyone else's.
Yep.
Whether it is or not is debatable, but I think it probably is.
Yeah.
Considering Carson sounded better when the first time I heard it when it was 10%, but then he said, "Oh, well, that's not a real number. I was just basing that on the tithe thing from the Bible or something." So I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. Hey, how come? Why didn't they not bring up that Ben Carson used to try to hit people with hammers and try to stab them?
Right, or the Popeyes thing, or any
if that's even true, I don't even know how that's. Really?
I heard it from him. I don't know.
It's not like a rumor being spread. He said Ben Carson actually said earlier this week or last week, he said something about how he used to try to go after people with hammers, and I don't even know what it was in the context of.
I guess
gun control debate or something.
Being low energy is worse than he's like, I'm not low energy. I used to go after people with hammers.
Maybe that's why he's. Oh, it was in reference to his energy level.
Yeah, he was trying to dispute that he's not low energy.
He's like, no, I got tons of energy slowly when it comes to throwing hammers at people.
So fucking boring.
Oh, God, I know.
There's no way, right, that he could possibly win an election. Am I crazy?
Can you imagine how long the State of the Union would take?
Just his swearing in alone would be 2 days.
I'm at the point, though. As long as
Carson could do a one-paragraph filibuster.
I think
as long as it's anyone than Hillary, I'm going to be happy. I really don't care as long as it's not her.
Will you really be happy if it's Chris Christie?
Not happy, no.
Well, here's a question for you guys. Let's ask this question. Now, Rubio tonight, he's not the best on every issue, but he was doing all right tonight. He made some logical points. Would you guys? Let me look at
I was too distracted by his beautiful hair.
Look up your notes on your phone.
Hey, what about the part where he unloaded his $68,000 retirement account? That's really dumb because it was probably an IRA, and like she said, she had to incur $24,000 in penalties. That's weird that they're looking into that info. First of all,
that was a weird question.
Yeah. I'm also glad that his retirement account was only $68,000. It makes me feel a lot better than mine. So what? I mean. I don't think I have a point there. I just thought it was weird.
Unfortunately, all my notes are snarky on Rubio.
That's fine. Bring the snark. What show do you think you're on,
I thought about taking notes, but then I decided to just keep drinking instead.
For example, all of Rubio's problems can be blamed on the liberal media, including his finances and his herpes.
The liberal media that spent a 2-hour debate
kissing up to him.
Stage.
Rubio, by the way, had the line of the debate. By far the line of the debate when they asked about his final statement. He goes, I just want to say, people talking about us having 11 candidates. We have 11 good GOP candidates versus none for the Democrats. And I thought that was the 11th
guy?
Oh, God. Maybe he's including
there's only 10 up there.
Pataki or Rick Perry, who dropped out already. Santorum.
Did you know that the analysts after the debate said that Lindsey Graham won the first debate?
The little bit that I saw, I think that's probably right.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw him, he looked like he was just talking about growing up in a bar. I was like, all right, at least you seem like maybe okay. You think his dad just embarrassed though, going back to that the way he pours beer? He's like, really? I raised you in a bar and you pour beers like that? I literally raised you and all I did was pour beers, and you don't even know.
I know how to pour a beer. 11 years on the streets.
Overall on this debate though, I don't think it matters at all. No one made any huge mistakes. No one did anything awesome. It was just.
I think Kasich killed himself in this debate. I think he came.
I actually liked him for the first time.
No. I think I'm saying in the broader context of the GOP field, I think he killed himself. I think he came across as way too liberal on a lot of issues, and I think the GOP base just be like, nope.
I don't think the angry, bitter thing's going to play well with people either.
I kind of liked it.
I was agreeing with the stuff he was saying, but it's like, oh man, don't say it like that. People aren't.
Well, you know what? He
looked really frazzled.
Yeah, I know. He looked crazy.
He looked like flabbergasted. Like this is his last stand.
He cannot believe he's being beaten by Trump and Carson.
That's exactly what it is. He really can't. He's actually blown away that has 20 years as a congressman. He balanced the budget. He's a governor of a state that's doing pretty well by many metrics. And he's sitting there. Ben Carson is fucking barely getting his way through a sentence. And Donald Trump is just smirking and mocking everyone. And he's like, "Are you kidding me? How are these guys beating me by a ton? By all of it? I have 1%."
Am I taking crazy pills?
He did that one. The one thing that really bugged me that he did was he was asked about legalizing medical marijuana, because they were in Colorado, and he goes, because we're in Colorado, tell us about Bob. And he goes, well, about that, there's a lot of problems with
I meant to hammer him on
and then he just goes off into education.
No.
For he made a
before that he said, I don't want to send the wrong message to kids. We have problems with people ODing from drugs.
Right, ODing.
You know what? No one is ODing from marijuana.
I want to
states that legalize marijuana, the OD rates on prescription painkillers are way down.
DUI rates drop off a cliff. Arrests drop off a cliff.
I would venture, because I wrote an article on this, that if the prescription abuse rates are down, I bet heroin abuse in states with marijuana is down too, because people get addicted to opiates that they get through the government on disability, and then they get addicted to heroin because they can't afford to buy the pills once their prescriptions run out.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to get the pills once the prescription runs out.
Exactly.
Oh boy,
that's right.
The tangled web we weave.
Yeah.
So I wanted to hammer Kasich on that because he seems like Captain Reasonable for a lot of the time, except that he looked like he was on meth, but whatever. Yeah. And then he says that, like, sending mixed messages to kids on drugs. Well, I mean, do you support alcohol? I mean, that's a mixed message if you're fine with that. At least,
though, he has said he wouldn't have, like, the federal government stop a state to decide to do it like Christie. Christie's the worst on this issue.
Absolutely. Agree with that.
Insane.
Yeah, I mean, that's a new level of worse when Christie's like, even if states decide to do it, screw him. What is he going to do? Is he going to send in the troops to shut down? Well, they've done it. I mean, Bush did it. It happened under Obama. They literally sent in federal agents to raiding marijuana dispensaries. So, yeah, I guess he could and would do it.
Yep. Do you want to talk about actually, one quick thing on Kasich.
I'm already over that fantasy baseball moment of yours, Christy. Your marijuana stance has got me back to hating you.
Yeah, well,
goodbye. No more mentioning this guy.
There's more to hate him on too. But one thing. Okay. Well, let's bring this up because I have a note on this too. And I know Mark and I were both. We were sitting in the same room watching the debate.
We were,
as we often do.
Hands on each other's thighs.
We both were gasping in shock and horror when Chris Christie said, he goes, you know what? We don't work with energy of the government, because they asked him, like, how is government going to provide?
No, he said, I don't. He's like, saying he's not for subsidies.
Well, they called him out on something.
I want to work with them.
And he got all angry at the moderator for interrupting him. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then he's like, would the government be funding? He's looking, because he goes, I want to look into all energies. They said, would the government? He goes, got all pissed off. But then he goes, no. When in Jersey, we worked with the private sector. It's like, yeah, but that's just government funding the private sector again. That's just crony capitalism again. Like, what are you talking about?
It's the government working with just get out of the fucking way.
And you know what? Working with it's like you said, it's code for crony capitalism, and that's a theme I heard throughout the night. Is basically a lot of people not saying it, but saying it. And at least Carly Fiorina, I almost forgot about her, because she was, the last time we had a GOP debate, they promoted the hell out of her, and now she seemed like an afterthought again. I mean, she had a couple, maybe she answered the same amount of questions as Rand. I don't know if it was that much more, but...
she got more, because she butted in a lot more.
Yeah, and she brought up crony capitalism, and my only issue with that was that it was unrelated to the question that she was answering. She just ignored that and whipped out her index card, her pre-prepared script on crony capitalism. But at least she has mentioning the term. That's more than anyone else does at all. Even Rand didn't bring that up. But talking about crony capitalism, every time I hear the word incentives, that's why I heard this so much tonight. Kasich, incentives. We have all these incentives. Huckabee, we need to have incentives about this and that. Okay, that's every time that you hear the word incentive in political context, it's just replace it with crony capitalism and you're good to go, because that's exactly what they're talking about. And about half these candidates were actively promoting it.
Yes.
Agreed.
I actually have a question for Howie.
This should be good.
Because I'm looking at my phone notes, and I remember Chris Christie talking about war hero General Petraeus. Should not have been, how he was unfairly charged, blah, blah, blah.
What? Petraeus didn't even go to prison. He should have been in jail.
Do you remember this part of the debate?
No, I must have missed that part. He should be in jail, though.
He was a war hero, according to Chris Christie.
Petraeus.
Howie, from your area of expertise, why don't you just tell us briefly why you believe that General Petraeus should be in jail? What was his specific crime?
He gave classified information to his girlfriend.
Right.
You're not supposed to do that, are you?
No.
As far as I know.
Apparently.
Yeah, and why is he a war hero, per se?
He was a hero.
Look, Petraeus is a war hero, just like Chris Christie personally ran into the flaming buildings during 9/11 to pull people out.
And then he prosecuted with his fist the terrorists.
How does he get away with saying that he became like the prosecutor or whatever the job was, like the day after, the day before?
Oh, because it was all in secret court, you know.
He was a liar, basically.
Yeah,
He's full of it. That's
FISA
what it is.
court.
Because he's full of it.
Yes.
I'm sure he's prosecuted people on terrorism-related charges.
Well, no, but I mean, this happened like a couple months later or something. He got the position,
Yeah.
but he's
He
like,
said
it was
he
the day after 9/11.
He's
completely
blatantly
lied
just-
about it.
Yeah.
He just said, I was appointed the day after 9/11 for this reason.
It's the proverbial day.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor for the,
Yes.
whatever. Hey, let's talk about Ted Cruz and tequila and pot brownies.
Yeah.
That was a surprising statement.
That was a surprising statement.
I was like, wait, what?
I think he was trying to be like, haha, I'm so good at tissues, I would never do pot brownies. But that's actually not how it came across. It came across like, I just did a shot of tequila, and I'm not sure when this brownie's going to kick in. That's how it came across to me. But.
Well, what about the dynamics with him and Rand? What's going on? Rand wouldn't criticize him the other day in the interview, and now they're...
One Mr. McWilliams mentioned this to me while we were watching the debate, so why don't I let you lay out your theory?
Yeah, I'll lay it out there. So in the last pluses and minuses, which you can find at lionsofliberty.com/Rand, I discussed this. So in a recent interview, he was being, pressured to say, talk about Cruz and the differences between, it was like A policy and B policy or recent, because Rand had said that Cruz was done in the Senate a couple months ago, which is fine. He probably is done in the Senate. So
what do you mean he's done though? He's got he's going to be there for like 4 more years.
He's doing this push. He's saying he won't get reelected or he won't get his constituents have abandoned him.
People forget things.
Yeah, they do. But anyway, so Rand had made that remark, and then they're pushing him more. And they're saying, talk about the difference between you and Cruz. Talk about Cruz saying this because you guys are competing for the Liberty vote. And Rand refused to talk about him and got all pissed off at the reporter for even asking about Cruz. And I think, especially based upon tonight's debate, they have a handshake agreement in the back room to not say shit about each other. Because Cruz complimented Rand on stage tonight.
He did. He said, I was happy to sign on to Rand Paul's audit the Fed bill.
And he complimented his tax plan.
And Rand was like, yeah, thanks. Love that Ted Cruz here signed him. I'm like, what are these guys? They were best friends when they first started. Rand endorsed Cruz and all that stuff.
And he helped him with the drone filibuster.
Right. Even Ron Paul endorsed Cruz at the time. That was back in 2012.
Before his foreign policy went
Before things got awkward, yeah.
Yeah.
But now they seem to be rekindling the romance, I guess you could say.
What a ugly baby.
What is Rand Paul's future? Because I don't think he really, obviously he didn't get a chance to do anything today. No. He got about
and that was very clearly, they just made the decision, screw this guy, because you can't just say you can't even just say that they were going with, the guys the lowest on the totem pole, which was Rand and Kasich by the polls and on the ends of the stage, but Kasich got a lot of questions. Kasich got a ton of time.
Yeah. So, Rand got, and then I was listening to CNBC and they're like, Rand Paul, did not capitalize on them. I was like, well, what is he supposed to do? Run down and start yelling crazy shit, so he could get some time? They said when he tried to interject, he said, no, you'll get your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they literally went like 30 minutes without even. They didn't even have him on camera. It's almost like they were shooting it so you forgot he was there.
He wasn't even in the angle, and they'd show the candidates. It was always shot
just
from
cut off.
when it was next to him, so you couldn't see his head.
It was weird. It's like, well, we have this debate card here, so we kind of have to follow it, but let's just really ignore this.
So,
guy.
What does he do? Because he's not going to get any questions, so no one's really going to care about him. Other than the niche kind of libertarian community who's watching what he says and, does he correspond with what he should be saying? But, if he gets no time.
I'll tell you what.
I think he knew. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No, you go ahead. I talk all the time.
I think he knew this was going to happen, and he's banking on his filibuster tomorrow. That's what he's going to use to try to get his attention.
Why he was sure to mention it, too. He's not going to be in his
which was
statement.
Good, but it kind of annoys me when people don't answer the questions they're asked.
Well, I think
it was a closing statement.
No,
that was the very first question. What's his weakness? And he's like, I'm doing a filibuster tomorrow.
Oh, because he mentioned at the very end. I missed the first couple of minutes of the debate because I was driving back from work.
Question and debate.
I have to work a full day, like most people.
They asked what the candidate's biggest weakness was, and I think only 2 of them answered that. Everyone else just decide to say
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
the hell they want
Nobody answered that question at all.
It just makes me
Including
so...
the very first person.
I actually like Trump's answer, bizarrely, just living in Trump Bizarro world. He's just like, I'm too trusting. I trust people. I trust people too much.
Like
but
his
then he's like, but then when they cross me, I never forget, and I cannot forgive them. And he got like all like intense. It was just like
he sounds like the villain in Johnny Dangerously.
He is.
My mother slapped me once.
He is evil Biff Tannen from the alternate 1985 and Back to the Future 2. That's who
I'm starting to think he might actually be able to build the wall. I don't know if it's just because he keeps saying it over and over and over again.
What? It would be
Now I'm
funny if
starting
he
to
just
think it's
funded the wall, like he's funding his campaign. What if he's like, you know how I know we can afford the wall? I'm funding it. Here's a check, $300 billion.
Well, I liked it how he's like, let's eliminate super PACs. Which, look, I'm not necessarily against that, but it's like, of course you want to eliminate super PACs. You have all the money.
You don't need to raise money from anybody.
You're right. So all it doesn't
He's not
benefit
using.
you.
He
It's
hasn't been using his money though.
well,
That's
in the beginning he did.
amazing. This is why Trump is dangerous. I mean, I don't think when it comes time to actually spend money, he's got it, and he has not had to spend anything yet because he's getting so much damn media attention just by being Donald Trump. So, I mean, if he wants to stay in this, he's probably, I mean, he's going to have a ground game because he's going to be able to pay for it. He's going to have a media campaign because he's going to be able to pay for it. And if he's really serious, if this is not just some publicity stunt to have, ratings on the next season of The Apprentice be the highest of all time, which they will be if he's not president, that's a fact.
Yep.
If it's not just for that and he really wants to keep going with this, it's going to be tough to fight him in terms of all the metrics. I mean, and he's leading the polls too. So I mean, I don't know if those polls are going to ride in Iowa and New Hampshire. So we'll see. But
He's got Mike Tyson in his corner now too.
and now he's got Tyson, so he's pretty much
He's got the
unbeatable.
face tattoo vote locked down.
He's got Tom Brady, Mike
The
Tyson.
rapist wife beating face tattoo vote is pro Trump.
Who else?
I think that
Too
rape
bad
charge
felons
might
can't
have
vote.
been trumped up.
Oh yeah, Tyson can't vote.
Tyson can't cast a
John
vote.
Odermatt, Felony Friday author, gets his way. He just might be able to.
By the way, let's
someday.
just remind the crowd, John Odermatt's not on this, but let's just remind everybody, his daughter
No, we
Rubio?
can't. We already
is
spent
named
one.
Ruby, and his
We
last
already
name's Odermatt, so
spent-
she
come
is
on. We already
Ruby
did this
Odermatt.
once. Now he's going to hear it. She's going to be listening with him
That's what
while
he gets for
hears
not.
it.
That's what he gets for not
And
participating.
then what's going to be funny is when she finally says her first word, it's going to be Rubio.
Rubio?
Mark, you should. I think you need to have Mike Tyson on the podcast to talk about this.
Hey, if you want to serve as my agent and book him for me, I will gladly speak with the man. I can look into it myself too, but I'm not. What's the tie-in? I got to have some kind of liberty tie-in, even if it's vague.
We still want to hear what he thinks about. I don't know.
Are rape laws? Should those exist?
That sounds like a good way to segue to healthcare, since those people might need it.
All right.
Because I want to bring this one thing up, which I thought was so ridiculous.
And for the record, I do believe rape should be completely illegal. So just so that can't be taken the wrong
too,
way
me
by
too.
anybody listening.
clear that up.
At all.
Clear that up.
Thank you very
Put
much.
that in the show notes.
in big bold letters. Mark
No rape.
does believe that rape should be
Yeah.
illegal. Okay.
I want to bring this up because it was such an absurd statement. So Mike Huckabee, they're talking about Medicare, right? And I think Social Security as well. So they're talking about it all in one. And Huckabee's statement, he's like, you know what the problem with Medicare is? The big diseases use all the money up. And then he goes on some tangent, but he wraps it up being like, we need to cure diseases. And I was like, that's your plan?
I agree. We should.
Good idea.
Who is this we?
We'll put
You know
all
who
our
would be
top men
great at
on it,
that?
Huck. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
How
Who'd be great at that? The
who?
government. They're so awesome at getting stuff
Yeah,
done.
they usually get things done and efficient. And
Let's put them in charge of this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his point was. Obviously, if you cure diseases, things are better. But, the thing hampering innovation and research that would help cure diseases quicker and find cures are all the regulations, the FDA,
Right.
The AMA, all the regulatory body, the cartelization of the medical industry. Many of the things I discussed this past week with my guest, Josh Umber. Did you guys listen to that show?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I know everyone but Brian did. That's how this goes. Brian reads the show notes.
I did.
Actually, no, I did listen. I wrote
Enrico
the show
listens.
notes up for that. I listened to about.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, all right. So
I
you
can
all get
listen to it
points. You all get points for that. But anyway, I'm not just trying to plug things.
By the way-
if I was just going to try to plug things, I would plug my interview with John McAfee coming up this Monday on the Lions of Liberty podcast.
Mac Attack.
So yeah.
Now, does
John
he have
freaking McAfee?
Does he have a lot of money like Trump? Like that he can fund a lot of?
Well, I think he sold McAfee antivirus in the early '90s for
During the bubble.
$7 billion or something insane, and I think he spent a little of that money, but I think he's got some money.
Castles made of cocaine.
I don't know if he's got Trump money. I really don't know, actually, but he's got money. I mean, that's for sure. Anyway, we'll talk about. Well, I don't know. Maybe we can spend 2 minutes talking about John McAfee. Why not? I don't need to talk about these.
You're going to spill the beans.
No, I want to see what you guys think about it. I'm not going to give anything away.
I don't know what I know nothing about his position.
Yeah, I'm going to wait till I hear your interview.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
we'll table all McAfee discussion until the next time we all talk after the interview airs.
Yeah, I got to listen in on that.
All right. Anyway, we got our plugs in.
Did you hear, like, on an unrelated note, everyone talking about the seniors and how we cannot? I mean, obviously, you can't.
All I heard was kill old people when they were talking
I
about
loved
that.
when Rand was like, "Look, we're going to have to raise the age, and look, some people are just going to have to die."
No, he didn't say that.
I mean,
he didn't say
but
that.
That's what I was talking about the other day when I said it's the most motivated voting bloc in society.
Yeah,
seniors.
They're literally voting for their lives.
Yeah. And if you cross them, you're kind of effed.
Yeah.
So, later, anytime
Rand.
you talk about entitlement reform, you got to like almost every other candidate said, well, they and they have paid into the system.
So let's spend a minute talking about this entitlement reform issue, because it is a kind of a tricky one. It's not that straightforward because, look, people were sold this thing. They're forcefully have the money taken from them all their lives. I mean, I was talking to my dad about this a couple weeks ago. He's like, I understand all the reasons people talk about age limits and all that stuff, but he's like, you know what? That's my money. They took that money from me. I had no choice. I want it back. Like, I don't like to hear they're going to cap it and means test me, and if I made too much money in life, I can't have that money back. And I think there's a valid point to that argument. The problem is...
But there's not, though.
But there's
What
not. But
Okay, no. Well,
someone else rebut that for me.
That money is gone. It's like you got robbed, and now you're going to rob somebody else that had nothing to do with it to make up for it.
Right.
But there's another point that no one ever talks about on stage with entitlements is a large millions and millions of people get disability benefits who have paid nothing into the system.
Really? How do they get that?
Oh, well.
Who would enable such things?
Just unscrupulous people. I mean, I don't know. I don't know them personally.
Are they in Hawaii right now?
I'm sure some of them are. I'm sure
but
one of them are.
They get, I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of millions go to this, people that don't pay into it, or people that have paid into it for 5-10 years and get disability. But hey, if you're 30 and you get disability, you get disability for the next 35 years.
And doesn't that
until your retirement age?
Doesn't that make it even more of an outrage for like people that did work the whole time and did have to pay into it? They're talking about them not getting it, but the people on disability that didn't pay it, they're all going to get it.
Well, guess who the people that are getting it are voting for? And it's not going to be Rand Paul or Rubio.
My dad might vote for Rand Paul, but most
Bernie
of them,
Sanders?
not.
The people that are getting disability at age 25, they're not Rand Paul fans.
No, those guys aren't. No.
Well, that's the problem with overall
I'm sure
entitlements and benefits for everybody, is that at this point in time, I think statistically it's more than 50% of the United States is on some sort of government assistance. So we're past the point of no return, where if people are motivated and they want to keep their money, which of course people are, they're going to vote en masse to keep all this shit coming, and it's just going to keep everybody in date. Yeah. We're going to be basically slaves to the system. We're the worker ants providing,
I mean, there's no way to pay all these obligations. There's literally no way to do it. There's hundreds of trillions of dollars when you include the future obligations, and it's impossible.
America's got to go to China, put all their money on black at a casino, and then hopefully we win big.
On the bright side, even though they're going to keep on voting for it, at least it's going to eventually collapse.
Well, they're just going to keep...
I guess. The bright side is they'll all be on the street then overnight one day.
No, I mean, the money will come from other sources. The retirement age for people will keep going up. The cost of living. I mean, there's all types of things that it can kind of be gradually phased out, where the money you pay, you're not going to get back. Like, obviously, and if
I do, it'll be in inflated dollars that are nothing like what the ones I pay in.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone talking here is counting on Social Security retirement in 50 years as some kind of income statement.
I should get injured. That's what I need to do.
Well, I guess you should.
I might have a good
Almost everyone I was in the Army with gets like some kind of disability from the Army afterwards. I don't get anything.
Well, geez, they probably actually deserve it. If anybody does.
No. I mean, people.
I mean, I don't want to. Okay, well. I should phrase this carefully, but
phrase carefully.
There's
because we're not editing this thing. It's getting pumped out in a couple hours.
There's a large segment of veterans, and obviously a lot of veterans are, injured and have kind of wartime injuries and impairments and everything. But there's also a lot of people that get substantial amount of benefits that I've encountered that have basically nothing wrong with them, but they get a substantial amount of monthly benefits that, perhaps they shouldn't get. I don't know.
Because it helps if you're a veteran, too, to be able to, I guess, make that claim.
Yes.
Although I'm sure many have the legitimate claim.
Yes. Like anything, there's a lot of people that are legitimately, have a severe condition, and, no one begrudges them for getting, benefits that they should get. But there's also a large percentage that really kind of not scam, but kind of get more than.
That is questionable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Questionable is a good term. But anyways,
I'm trying to help you out here.
We should probably move away from this topic before I say anything bad.
All right. So,
anywho,
let's try to just sort of wind this puppy down and start to look at the actual ramifications of the events of this evening politically, because that's what we do. We're political analysts, professional political analysts. We've worked more than 45. We just hit the 45-minute mark, so we've already doubled Rico's workday.
God damn you! I'm sending a bill.
We're working overtime.
Sure
work out.
Of course, you're going to send me lawyers. That's all you guys do is send bills, right? And lawyers. Anyway,
his bills. If he's billing in California, they get sent to my address. Actually.
Oh, so you can.
That's a true fact. I looked through all of his mail.
You should have been a divorce attorney.
Could I have helped you out? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying they make a lot of money.
Let's talk about how he's divorced.
Rico, it's not too late. I'm getting married in a year, so I give that 3, 4.
I think that was one of the 3 conditions Howie had about coming on the show. No divorce.
Maybe if you put down a retainer now, you get a discounted price for.
Well, that's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
That should be a service. Like you can hire a lawyer, or put a retainer on before you're the day you get married. But it's a way at a discount, because you might not get divorced ever. But if you need it,
that's like a future bet on gambling,
right?
Yeah.
Kind of ties together.
It's hopefully I don't, but if I do, I'm going to save some
Is your team going to win the World Series? Am I going to get divorced in 2 years?
And then the lawyers would have a lot of extra money from all the clients that didn't get divorced, unless way more get divorced, then they just end up,
Who doesn't get divorced?
Right? Everyone does. Pretty much.
Anywho. Except Ryan.
Yeah,
of course. Well, no, he'll be the one exception, of course.
That'll last forever.
Anyway, so who do you guys think? Let's go around the room. We'll do. You can answer 2 questions at once, and I want you to say who do you think came across the best to the general public? Just not the little niche neck-bearded libertarians, just that are just cranky about everything like us. But the actual regular people that are going to end up going out and pulling levers out there. And then who do you personally think came across the best, or who's your favorite candidate right now? Which might be easy, but I don't know. Maybe I'll be surprised. So let's start with Brian.
All right. Like I said, I think Rubio, even though he was getting a million questions that were all negative, I think he kind of spun them well. He came across as sounding fairly intelligent, and I think he made pretty decent points at the time. So I think the general public will adapt and adopt Rubio into their hearts. And the person I like the best, obviously it's going to be Rand Paul, but he didn't get to speak for shit. So I'm trying to look through my notes to see if there's anybody else that really I put a lot of positive stuff in my notes for.
The funny thing is, I like Rand Paul. I want to hear him speak more. I don't think he should be censored, but him being ignored makes me like him more. Is that weird?
Exactly.
Because I'm getting mad and fired up. I'm come on, let the guy talk. It makes me angry that they even see him as any kind of threat, even though he's not the bombastic bomb thrower that Ron was when it comes to this stuff. And yet they're just nah, we're just gonna not even talk to you. So, and then I'm no, he must be dangerous. He must be a real threat to the establishment. And then I just get mad and I think, well, maybe he is maybe he's great because they ignore him. And why else did they ignore him?
Well, as you mentioned, he's getting more libertarian as he's going along the campaign trail. So
maybe that's why they got to clamp down on this stuff.
Well, hold on. If you guys could think back 4 years ago, I can't remember.
Impossible.
There was definitely not 10 candidates on the.
No, there were 5.
Is that all there was? I couldn't remember.
I think there was 7 or 8. They never had a kiddie debate, that's for sure. No. I think there was 7 or 8. Then eventually I know it whittled down to towards the end, there was just like Ron Paul and Romney and whoever the hell else in there. It was like 4
and Ron Paul still didn't get any time.
Santorum hung out till the end.
3 or 4 people.
Yeah. And he was ignored with 4 people on stage, which is an impressive feat when you have compared to the 11 on stage now. I mean, think how hard it is to ignore Ron Paul for a whole 2 hours with 4 people.
There was that one debate with like 8 guys, and he got 30 seconds. Or no, it was an 89-second debate. I remember the number now. It was a specific like 89-second thing. He got exactly 89 seconds in an hour and a half or 2-hour debate. And Ryan did not get that much more than that tonight. No. I mean, it's more than 89 seconds probably, but closing statement, opening statement, 2 questions total asked to him during the debate, and he had one interruption where he got to talk for 30 seconds. So it can't be that much more, the way I see it. But
what about you, Howie?
Yeah, I don't think anything major happened, good or bad for anyone, but the 2 people who probably helped themselves the most, I think, would be Rubio and Cruz, and I think the ones that hurt themselves the most would have been Huckabee and Kasich.
What was Huckabee's big detriment, do you think?
He just... nonsense comes out of his mouth.
That is a detriment.
It's like he could have just... I don't know. I mean, he didn't... The bar wasn't high here. You just had to not sound like an idiot.
I'm ready for 1 or 2 of these guys to get shuffled out. Let's bring up some new talent from the minors. Let's send down Mike Huckabee, and I don't know. I kind of like Kasich. But
the problem is everybody else is saying that too, and they're looking at Rand Paul, like shuffle Rand Paul.
Yeah, that's the problem. If I say shuffle someone out, it's going to be Rand because he's
the one guy is saying something different on stage. None of these people ever say anything real anyway. They all kind of make claims. Like Kasich made a claim. It's like, I want no taxes on small business. Then he moves on. It's like, what do you mean by that? How? Why? Okay, great. I'm all for it, but explain yourself.
Well, in fairness, it's hard to explain your positions in 30 or seconds or a minute to some extreme detail, but they gave him time. And so who's your favorite, though? Who's your favorite guy right now, Howie?
Oh, Rand.
Still Rand. Yeah, of course.
Rand, yeah.
All right. That's probably just a pointless question.
Yep.
Probably all going to say it. But, all right, Rico, what's going through that mind, that Hawaiian, and back down in Hawaiian Cleveland of Hawaii, whatever.
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't either, man. It's brandy. I don't recommend it. It's weird.
She's a fine girl.
Well, I think the debate was a complete shit show because the questions were so bad. The moderators were so bad that nothing good could happen out of it.
They were just antagonistic.
They were horrible. They were stupid. The questions were horrible. I mean, it was just mind-numbing how bad the questions were. So, I think every candidate was just kind of dealing with the crap that was thrown at them. So it's hard to make any kind of judgment about how they did. I didn't mind some of Kasich. There's a couple things that I didn't like so much, but I think he's kind of reasonable. I wouldn't vote for him so much, but over anyone but Rand, I would. I think Rand has really kind of more embraced the libertarian philosophy than he was at the beginning. Like now it's no debt raise. I think that was his big focus.
God, that's just a logical, position. You don't need to be a libertarian to say, look, it's ridiculous to keep raising debt. Although most people seem to think it doesn't matter.
Who else is talking about that?
Yeah, nobody. And by the way, very good point about the questions and how you couldn't really get into anything because the candidates weren't, sometimes they go at each other a little bit, but the questions were so skewed they'd ask them about a certain thing and needle them about one quote or one issue.
No,
that did not matter.
They're asking Ben Carson about how he appeared on the website for some product that he,
Right. It's like, who gives a flying shit?
And this was a question, or this was a point I kept trying to live blog, but I didn't figure out the technology, but
too many matches.
When CNBC was asking about weaknesses, perhaps their own weakness they should have cited as fact checking because all their facts were wrong, and at least 4 different questions. They would ask questions, and the people would say, "I don't know what you're talking about," and they would say, "Well, where do we get this?" And they would say, "I don't know."
I love when Donald Trump. That is one moment. I like that we barely talked about Donald Trump because usually we talked about him a lot, but he gets enough press, so it's okay that we didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did like when Trump came in and was like, "Yeah, I didn't say that ever." So where did you get that from? He's like, "Well, it's."
I had one Trump note, and it was a good one. Donald Trump talking about how gun-free zones are counterproductive, and that's where a lot of the shootings happen, and how they should not exist.
Yeah, but does he support complete open carry or complete carry rights? Because he gets to carry. Because
he actually said that he carries. He said he carries for his employees carrying. I don't know if he said. I don't think he got into pure total open carry.
He's for his employees carrying, but they don't because they are in New York, and in New York you cannot open carry. You cannot not open carry. You can't carry a weapon. Period. Just like here in California, basically. Right. Although they have concealed carry permits, but no one effing gets them except the very, very, very connected people. And he is one of those connected people, which he admitted to. He even said, yeah, not many people can get them, but I have one. And good for him. I don't blame him for trying to get one. It's logical to want to be able to defend yourself. But
anyway, gun-free zones.
Yeah.
Agree to disagree.
No, because this is a real thing because his past positions on guns are not all that great. And I'm not sure if he actually presented him with a law that would allow the nation to carry, that he would support it. And I'd like to know if he would, but I don't think he would.
It's a good question that CNBC would never ask.
Of course not.
They only ask about
they ask about
DraftKings.
All right. Donald, you bought a pack of cigarettes the other day that had a camel on it. Are you racist against Islam?
Oh, boy. Yes, but not for that reason. Okay, so is Rand still your favorite guy, though?
Oh, yeah. I think he's moving more toward, I think at the beginning he was trying to straddle the line between appeasing the Republican base and libertarians, and now he's just saying, no, I'm libertarian. Yeah. Or more towards that end of the spectrum.
From my point of view, the one guy that I think moved up in my mind a little bit, not that I would vote for him or anything necessarily, or no, I definitely don't think I would, but Ted Cruz came across a little better than I usually think of him.
He did. He came across a lot better.
Maybe it's just because he brought up the tequila and the pot brownies, so maybe he's just tugging at my heartstrings.
It's because they didn't talk about foreign policy or medical marijuana.
Oh, yeah, because he didn't get into any of the things he's terrible on.
They didn't,
so that's why.
If they had just a medical marijuana question to him, you'd be like, hiss, Ted Cruz.
Quite possibly correct.
No.
He seemed not too upset about Colorado having brownies. So
that's why he had to joke it off so they wouldn't actually have to get into
even though I jail you for it. Yuck.
The crowd in Colorado would probably been like, boo!
Now come on.
Because that ghost,
0% of the GOP debate audience is the same crowd that buys weed in Colorado. That's the fact.
Well, if they live in Colorado, if they're going to buy weed there, I mean...
No. Although I would recommend probably getting high for the GOP debate next time, no matter what state you live in.
We all need to do a lot of ecstasy next time.
That's illegal. No, it is illegal, but hey. What is it nowadays?
Well, everyone's
and the
great,
war on drugs, damn it.
Everyone's great. We'll have a Burning Man GOP debate.
I'm just touching my computer screen and staring at it, not talking there's no words for 5 minutes at a time.
I just want to rub Marco Rubio's giant earlobes. They're so fuzzy like a peach.
So I thought Ted Cruz did a little bit better, for what he is. But in terms of who the public will see better, well, I think Trump will still be better because they like the outsider, and he was just kind of his swarmy, self. He went after the moderators a lot, which I liked because they deserve to be gone after.
As
for their
did Ben Carson.
Questions.
Ben Carson
did too. Both the outsiders. To me, Ben Carson never comes across well, so I don't think he did good.
I agree.
But then he goes up in the polls, so I don't know.
Who is supporting him?
I don't know.
Right?
Can we just talk about?
I know people. I know a bunch of people who do.
Why?
He sounds like a fourth grader. He sounds like a fourth grader that's even reporting class when he speaks. He sounds like an idiot.
And all he ever says
I can't get
into
what he's actually saying because he sounds so stupid.
Every single issue he says, well, now that I've had more time to think about it, which, okay, in a way I do respect that. People should have time to form
Right, it's like, just know I'm going to flip-flop.
But it's almost like, how old are you, man? Is this the first time you thought about politics before?
Right.
And now you're running for president? Maybe you should take some more time.
He flip-flopped on the, entitlements, right? Or, God, what was it?
Take notes on your phone and you'd remember.
I just deleted them because I thought we were done with this.
You deleted them?
I just deleted the notes.
Do you really need to conserve space on your phone that badly?
I don't know. I like to conserve space in my email.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the CNBC poll results for who won.
All right, let's hear it, and then we'll sign off.
Trump won 41%. Rubio second, 15%.
This is like their online poll or something.
Yeah. Carson third, 12%.
But those are the people that got to talk.
Cruz fourth, 8%, and then Paul and Kasich are tied for fifth at 5%. And we got Bush only got 2%. Huckabee got 1%. Oh yeah,
did we even mention? Yeah, we did mention a couple.
Fiorina only got 4%.
I don't think Jeb was horrible. Except
if his name wasn't Bush, we might not hate him as much as we do.
No, that's a very good point.
Because he doesn't actually come across that badly. I mean, I know his policies I don't really like, but I mean...
Oh, here we go.
He almost is like a Kasich. If you just forgot, if you pretended he wasn't a Bush, he would be similar. He doesn't seem like...
He wasn't horrible.
He doesn't seem horrible, but he probably is.
Decent things.
Hold on, guys. I've got a breaking news update.
All right.
We officially have the time in. It's going to shock you who spoke the most, actually. Here it is. Carly Fiorina, 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, because she broke in every 5 seconds. They would be like, you know what they need? They need us to cut people's mics, by the way. It drives me nuts that they let them keep speaking and speaking and speaking. Yeah, Fiorina, 10 minutes, 32 seconds. The next up, as we said, Marco Rubio, center of the debate, 10 minutes, 10 seconds. After
he
that,
got more questions directed at him, but she basically made up for it by chiming in a lot.
Right. Now, the next one will really shock the living hell out of you. Mark, you can see the screen. Guys, guess who the next one is? Go ahead, Howie.
Rand Paul.
What?
Well, completely incorrect. Guess what the next amount of person who has the most speaking time
I'm not
is.
gonna be shocked.
Rico, what's your guess?
Kasich was like close.
Boom!
Yes, Rico nailed it. Wow, good job.
And he was at, wasn't he 10th out of those 10 people?
He was, yeah.
Yes.
And he got 9 minutes of 42 seconds speaking time. Trump, 9 minutes 26. Fatty Christie, who's also at about 1%, 8 minutes 30 seconds. Huckabee, 7 minutes 39. Cruz, 7 minutes 34. Carson, only 7 minutes this time. Bush, 6 minutes 39 seconds. They say Paul had 6 minutes and 15.
It is so hard to believe.
Which I find impossible to believe.
It is so hard to believe that Rand Paul had 45 seconds less than Ben Carson. I feel like I watched a half hour of Ben Carson and 30 seconds of Rand Paul.
You know, Carson actually wasn't on a lot,
This
though.
actually makes me want to go back to the debate and actually sit there with the freaking timer and see where these jokes at the time came from.
I don't think
Maybe it's right.
think that Paul time could be right.
No, it's not. There was.
I mean, I don't see how it could be.
But Jeb Bush spoke way more than
Maybe
Rand
he
Paul.
was talking backstage before they started. They hit the timer.
They started the clock.
Like, no, start Rand's time now.
I'm shocked that Bush had that little time, I guess. I thought he had more, too. Well, anyway, there you go.
All right.
Well,
speaking of time,
that's according to NPR.
Rico sounds like he's got one more thing to say.
One more thing. Do you think anyone is going to drop out before the next debate?
That is a good question.
Kasich will.
I don't think he will.
I'm calling it right now.
A couple of the kitty guys.
He's so
might.
frustrated.
No, I don't care. I mean, I don't care about the kitty debates because they're kind of irrelevant. But by the next debate, you can't. If they're going to do the same way where you have 10 people and
Well, no, I don't think Christie will make the cutoff next time. His numbers are going down.
Christie may drop. I think Kasich will opt to drop out. Fiorina will not because she's the only female candidate.
Yeah.
So she'll stay in. Huckabee, I could see dropping.
Huckster, no, he wants to stay in this thing.
He has no chance.
Fired up.
He has no chance.
Yeah,
he already ran and lost. He should drop out. The rest of them are going to stand.
Yeah, I don't see any. I don't see Carson or Cruz or Trump.
No, definitely not. And Rand already said he's not dropping out.
Yeah, I don't think Rand's
he may not make the debate, but
Rand's
he's not
going to make it to the Iowa. He's going to stay at least through that Iowa caucus. There's no doubt about it.
Exactly.
That's where he's got all his time and money and all his his legions of college students. All right, we're done. Goodbye.
Excellent. That's about an hour. The people are getting tired and restless.
Yeah. So, but we'll do the one thing we always do, which is remind everyone to, well, first of all, remind you guys to come back, subscribe to the show in all the ways we mentioned earlier, and make sure you do not miss my interview with John McAfee this coming Monday, because he is a freaking fascinating guy, and he's running for president, and he's better than everyone on stage tonight, except maybe Rand Paul. They're so different, I can't even compare them. But if I don't vote for Rand Paul,
he's had a more fun life than Rand.
Oh, he's definitely had a more fun life than Rand. I'm sure Rand's had some good times. Hey, Rand did have the Aqua Buddha days.
Aqua Buddha!
But no, he's had a ridiculous life, John McAfee. And this interview is amazing. So please tune in for that. And until then, folks, you guys going to join me? Why don't you all just live long
and live free.
And free Nick Diaz.
Yes, and free Nick Diaz, guys.
Howie literally paid us to be allowed to say that, so we have to leave it in the show.
Gather together, make a troop, go with torches and pitchforks to the jail and bust him out.
He's actually not in jail at all.
No, he's not in jail.
If you're in Las Vegas, though,
he's in Nevada.
Free Rand Paul. Free Rand Paul should be the hashtag.
Free Rand Paul should be.
But then again, then they'll just throw those stats that we just read in our face and say, actually, well, he's only 45 seconds less free than Ben Carson. So. But Ben Carson talks so slow that his 7 minutes is like 45 minutes.
So boring. What
it just seems longer when he's speaking.
Can you imagine a book on tape by Ben Carson? Oh, my God. Longest car ride of your life, man.
Ben Carson
really good
reads
for falling asleep, though.
Ben Carson reads the phone
The
book.
longest possible book on tape is Ben Carson reading War and Peace. Boom. We're
By
out.
Dostoevsky.
Peace out.
Head of editing and mastering is John Dauber.
Contact Johnny53 at gmail.com.